Hello, welcome back to Evil Genius Props, home of the world's largest selection of goons. If you can't find the goon, you don't need him. I'm Mike, and here's today's project. I can't sew. That's generally been fine, but occasionally I've had to, when running into prop builds, I've needed something sewed. So what I've done is went and talked to one of my costumers that I work with, and got a recommendation for a sewing machine, which was to say, get an old Singer that's made of metal and weighs more than your house, and it'll last forever. Uh, and one of the key things I needed to do was be able to sew things like canvas or small pieces of leather, and modern machines just don't do it. So I did that over the summer here, and then I went, well, now I need to learn how to use this thing. So my daughter decided that she wanted to be Harry Potter, much to my chagrin. She actually wanted to be Hermione from Harry Potter, sorry. So I made her the wand, and that lit up, but then she needed a robe. So I decided this would sort of be a perfect example, a test piece to sort of work and learn on, and then if it just utterly failed, we would be able to buy one, so she wouldn't be depending just on my abilities to get this thing done. It turned out. It works okay. It fits. It's a robe, so there's not a whole lot of complex parts to it, but it's done. It's on there, and she's done that. Then Sheila went, "Hey, I kind of want a cloak." So off to the fabric store, and a lot of material costs later, we got a cloak. Well, I got material for a cloak. Then I had to make it. So here we go.
The first step is to lay out the pattern and cut out the pattern pieces. I actually have some experience with this. When I was growing up, my mom would make our costumes and this type of clothing for us, but she always had a rule that if she was making something for you, you had to help lay it out and pin it and all of that sort of good stuff. So I actually have experience with this part. I know what I'm doing here as we, for instance, lay out I believe it was 8 yards of fabric that we had to lay out and then pin in the pieces. But what I don't have is the actual experience of putting it together. And of course, if you put fabric on the ground, you get a cat. So we pinned down the pattern pieces onto the fabric, and I think it was around this point, or shortly after, that we realized that the fabric she chose was a stretch velvet, so not only was it slippery, but also stretchy and thus hard to work with. After we cut out the back and side pieces, I made Sheila do the hood, just because by this point I had had enough of dealing with this fabric already. So I made her do it. Actually, what I was doing was trying to figure out the next steps and what we had to do next and what to cut out. And of course, cat.
Everything's cut, pinned, and ready to go. And after longer than I care to admit, bobbin is ready on this. We're all set to go. We're going to go ahead and do the first part of the sewing, which is, in this case, taking the outside part of it and sewing the back seam together. This is why I agreed to make a cloak, is that it's very simple, and that's about the level I can handle right now. Am I dumb enough to then take this experience and try to make, I don't know, the Cloak of Levitation from Doctor Strange? Yeah. Is it a good idea? No. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started with this. Unsurprisingly, there's a problem as some of the fabric bunched up and got caught in the seam. Um, that's why this is maybe your best friend. At least mine. So, gonna rip this out and then try to redo it. Alright, we are ready to go ahead and start in on the other side. Next step, which is attaching the front along the side seams. And in an attempt to deal with the fact that this is super slippery and stretchy, I went with the only thing I could figure out, which is to say many, many pins. Let's hope this holds. Nevermore. Nevermore, cat. Just make yourself comfortable, that's fine.
After moving the cat, I laid out the other side of the fabric as she wanted this to be lined, so I laid out the lining and cut that out as well, and then stitched that together just like I did the front. Then I had to pin those together, and once again, attracted a cat. Next, I sewed the hood together, first the outside and then the lining, and attached the two. Then one more big layout where I attached the lining to the outside. This was maybe the hardest bit just because of working with the various different materials, particularly the one that was stretchy and slippery. Amazingly, I haven't run into a cat at this point, but it's only a matter of time, I'm sure. So with this part, I just took my time and I went slowly and just used a lot of clips, especially around the neck, and just wanted to get it laid out and just have it set as best I could before I started sewing it. This is sort of my last chance to make any fixes on this without having to rip out the seams again. Once that was done, it's just a case of attaching the two pieces together. Once the pieces were put together, Sheila, of course, wanted to have a tassel on the back of the hood, so that part I hand stitch, which had a benefit of I could just sit on the couch and watch TV while doing this. So I hand stitched on the tassel. I actually did a little bit of a loop and doubled up the length on the tassel, and then also hand sewed on the frogs to hold it all closed.
I don't think this is going to help with the hemming.
All right, so once that was done, I just had to hem everything. And of course, this got the attention of the cats, particularly Archimedes, who wanted to hide underneath the cloak. Under his close supervision, I did go around and hem the bottom of the cloak. You can see just how uneven that was, which I did clean up a little bit once we got it hemmed, but I blamed the fabric. But it cleaned up nicely, and we did get that taken care of. Went around, hemmed the entire length of it, and then sewed that in with the sewing machine, and then we were ready for the reveal.
a dress to go with it.